Tēnā koe te hemana, tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou, te whānau o Parimata. Mr. Chairman, it gives me great pleasure to talk to this particular, at this particular part of the debate, because I want to first acknowledge the excellent and, in fact, superb work that the Minister of Treaty Settlements, the Honourable Chris Finlayson, has done in carrying out this part or this aspect of the government's policy. And that is demonstrated first and foremost in the fact that in these estimates that we are now considering, we see an extra $6.5 million has been allocated in this year's budget to enable this government to meet its target of settling all the claims by the year 2014. And the mere fact that we have, for the first time, seen a significant increase in the Office of Treaty Settlements budget, and given, I think even more importantly, a sense of purpose, a sense of satisfaction to that office in the work that they do, a sense that they have never had before, and certainly in the time that I have dealt with them in over 20 years. It has been a lost ship, and particularly under a rudderless ship, particularly during the 9 years of the previous Labor government. And that's demonstrated for Mr. Grant Robinson's information. That's demonstrated by the fact that in the 9 years that that government was in office, they produced 1.6 settlements per year. 1.6 settlements per year. And under this government already, can I say that we have in fact signed in the short time that we have been in power, under the outstanding leadership of the Minister of Treaty Settlements, and in fact that was recognised in my friend and colleague Rahui Kātane's speech of the excellent work the Minister is doing, that in fact we have signed 7 deeds of settlement, 11 agreements in principle, Mr. Chairman, 11 deeds of mandate, Mr. Chairman. How many deeds of mandate? 7 terms of negotiation. This is an extraordinary amount of work, and people that actually understand what is involved in getting these milestones achieved will in fact understand that. Absolutely, you see? And this just shows you how poor the performance of the previous administration was. That was an administration that was supposedly into closing the gaps. Remember closing the gaps? And yet all they could do is achieve 1.6 settlements per year, starting with Margaret Wilson, who did nothing for 2 years. And the reason I know that was because we waited for a meeting with her. We waited desperately for a meeting, and she did nothing. We were that far from signing, in fact, a deed of settlement prior to that government coming into power in 1999, and then we sat around for 2 years waiting to get a first meeting with Margaret Wilson. That, of course, was followed by that wonderful chappie called Mark Burton, who was even worse than Margaret Wilson. Even worse. You know, even Shane Jones will agree with that. Even worse. And sadly, around all this, they did actually have 1 or 2 that were trying to do something, including my friend Parikura Horomia. But he was ignored. And so now, of course, so the great part about it is we're moving on, but there's one other aspect I just want to cover briefly, and we're going to see it later on tonight when we debate another settlement bill, is that, in fact, in coming in, not only have we done this outstanding level of work, but this minister has had to clean up a mess left behind by the previous administration in a number of areas.
Honourable Chris
Mr.
Timmerson.
Chairman, pleased to take a call briefly